She goes down, Ann Taylor in collapse, and the value sector looks the best. As a total, Home Depot is collapsed.
Right.
As a total, this is a very mixed picture.
Well, you say it collapsed a lot of times there, Howard, and yet this market is rallying. Perhaps this market continues to ride a wall of worry. Kimberly, what is doing well?
The off-pricers in particular, Ross stores and TJX, are doing very well. To us, this absolutely just confirms the consumer is feeling squeezed. Ross and TJ both guiding up on sales today and also guiding up on earnings, and that's because they're not having to discount as much as expected. But when the consumer is feeling squeezed, they trade down, they shop at the off-pricers instead of at the mall, and this just confirms our view.
So how do you explain this market rally then?
We had most of the negative pre-announcements earlier this week. We had 3 straight down days in the specialty softline sector. And so this is just a bit of, what I would consider to be a bounce on very low expectations.
All right, we'll leave it there. Good to have you both with us. Thanks so much. And still to come on this busy edition of The Closing Bell, we've got some more on what's driving this rally on Wall Street, how you can cash in. Back in a moment on that.
At UBS, financial solutions come from listening very carefully to what our clients say, but even more carefully to what they don't say. You could call it the commitment to understand. We just call it you and us. You and us, UBS.
It's a big world, and it's my job to shrink it. I'm a model maker. We shrink buildings, we shrink landscapes. I make it really small. So when my doctor said that my going and going was because of an enlarging prostate, I said, how can we bring it down to size? He said, Avodart. He said, Avodart's different because over time, it actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms over the long term. Other medicines don't treat the cause because they don't shrink the prostate.
Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely sexual side effects, swelling, or tenderness of the breasts can occur. Only your doctor can determine if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not prostate cancer. So have regular prostate exams. Ask your doctor about Avodart today. It's your growing problem. It's our job to shrink it. Avodart.
Next on Closing Bell, the global building boom. 2 men of steel show Maria where their companies are changing skylines and strengthening profits. 4 p.m. Eastern.
Don't suffer from tooth loss. Northford Family Dental can give you back your smile power in an hour. Introducing our revolutionary Teeth in an Hour program. Simply set up an appointment by calling 203-484-0456 for an examination and scan. You can have new, fully functioning teeth in as little as 1 hour, virtually pain-free. Your new teeth will be stable, secure, and look great. Call today, 203-484-0456. Northford Family Dental, giving you back your smile power in an hour.
Cholesterol. My doctor said to watch it. So I ride my bike, eat the good stuff, and take garlic every day.
Garlic's clinically proven ingredient maintains healthy cholesterol naturally.
My doctor's happy. So am I.
Eat right, exercise, garlic.
With Gold Bond medicated powder, you've got the power to do it all. It's medicated to fight itch and keep you dry in all the right places. Plus, the powerful cooling rush tells you it's working. Gold Bond medicated. It's the powder with the power.
Welcome back to the Closing Bell, floor of the New York Stock Exchange. We've talked about what's working, the stock market rally, putting together the best day ever for the year, one of the best days we've seen in 4 years all in. We've talked about the sectors that are working. But what about the underlying financial dynamics adding momentum to this move? Not since 2004, according to Merrill Lynch, have so many people been so short betting on a decline in the S&P 500. $45 billion worth of buying necessary to get back to even on the S&P 500. What does that mean? means when the stock market starts to go against the people that have bet it will go down, you create forced buyers in the stock market, which gives you the fuel that drives rallies like the 250 you see today. $45 billion held short in the S&P 500 as of Monday of this week, according to Merrill Lynch. Maria.
Well, you know, also the technology group, really one of the more heavily traded groups out there. You've got Cisco, the most heavily traded stock. That's doing well. Intel also very heavily traded. EMC at the New York Stock Exchange on the heavily traded list as well, with the Dow up 256 points. We are talking about the best point move in a couple of years here. Alcoa also very heavily traded, and part of the reason for the strength in the market today is the deal flow that we're seeing and some optimism about second quarter earnings. In fact, the deal flow has to do with Alcan finding a white knight in Rio Tinto and not going with Alcoa in that deal. Bob O'Brien's working on the dollar part of this story and really who's benefiting in terms of the dollar weakness. Bob, what are you seeing in terms of this falling dollar and how it's impacting equities today?
Well, Maria, the most dramatic impact of the weakness in the dollar, and the dollar, of course, has been dramatically weaker with it falling to an all-time low versus the euro this week, is that it means great things for manufacturers. It makes it easier for them to export goods around the globe. The ISM June Manufacturing Index came in at 56 last week, the best reading we saw since April of '06. It also makes a bigger impact on those manufacturers' profits. The currency translation favors them. It's a bigger hit to the bottom line. We're also talking about, in general, a dynamic that suggests we've got a very hot money market right now, Maria. There's talk in the foreign exchange markets of Tokyo housewives who are betting on the carry trade. It suggests that there's an enormous risk appetite out there.
Oh, God, that sounds like a deja vu. Thanks so much,
yeah, doesn't it?
Bob O'Brien. We'll take a short break there. We're coming back at you with the closing countdown. We're going to wrap this day up, and it is a one for the record books, that's for sure, a historic one. Also, we're talking with one of the wealthiest men in the world, Lakshmi Mittal. Steel stocks in the spotlight. I'll be sitting down with three of the industry's biggest names. Lakshmi Mittal, the head of steel giant ArcelorMittal. John Surma, CEO of U.S. Steel. Back in a moment.
Go! Life with diabetes, it's about going for it. That's why my new Contour has all the stuff I need to get it done right in just 5 seconds.
The new Contour is the most complete meter yet, with results in just 5 seconds. So getting more just got easier. That's easy accuracy, answered by Bayer.
We want a place that's all about the kids.
Well, maybe not all about the kids.
At Remax.com, you can see all the listings in thousands of cities and towns. Visit Remax.com today.
It's incredible the things we don't notice. Imagine we told you there's a company that has become one of the fastest growing investment banks and the largest asset manager on the planet without most people knowing it. Preposterous, you'd exclaim. There couldn't be such a company. I would have noticed.
Hi, Billy Mays here for the Samurai Shark, the ultimate sharpening tool that puts a razor's edge on just about anything with a cutting blade. The secret to the Samurai Shark are the tungsten carbide sharpening blades that give you a precision edge each and every time. This knife is so dull, it won't even cut this sponge. But with the Samurai Shark, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, and you get professional results each and every time. The retractable sharpening blade allows you to easily sharpen serrated edges. Call now and we'll send you the original Samurai Shark for only $10. But through this exclusive TV offer, we'll send you a second Samurai Shark absolutely free. We'll also include our professional set of Samurai shears, a $40 value, yours free. But you gotta call now. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-944-4512 to get the Samurai Sharks and 2 Samurai Shears, a $60 value for just $10.
How much do you pay when you buy a stock? Does the rate change depending on how often you trade or how much you have in your account? At TD Ameritrade, there's only one price for online stock trades, $9.99. No matter how often you trade, no matter how much money you have in your account. Straightforward pricing from TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
Closing Countdown is sponsored in part by TD Ameritrade.
Best day since 2002 for U.S. stocks. Everything worked. Retail, chips, financials, global materials. You pick it is a winner today. The biggest deal of all time in aluminum done. $40 billion in cash. Some excitement on the floor, you might say.
And the first time I've seen cheering, Dylan, in a long, long time on the floor here. And I think they're not just cheering for the closing bell here.
Which is now rung, although you may not have heard it. The show continues right now with Maria Bartiromo.
Hi, everybody, check it out. A record day on Wall Street. Now, on the closing bell, we've got all the action covered for you with the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 290 points. This is the biggest one-day gain in 4 years, up nearly 300 points on the industrial average. What is fueling this bull, and how can you ride the rally and cash in? It is all coming up on the closing bell. It's not just the stock market on fire, by the way. The steel sector is sizzling. Later on, two of the biggest names in the business, Lakshmi Mittal, CEO of ArcelorMittal, and the world's fifth wealthiest person. He'll be here along with John Surma, the CEO of U.S. Steel, talking about how they're making investing in steel sexy once again. They'll give us their bird's eye view of the global economy. All that is to come, but first up, what a rally on Wall Street today. The blue chip surged to uncharted territory, up nearly 300 points. In fact, Richard Peterson at Thomson Financial tells me the Dow has only risen 300 points about 18 times. This is certainly one for the record books. 270 points, logging the best percentage gain in a year and the biggest point gain since March 2003. Investors putting subprime worries on the back burner today and instead focusing more on deal making. We've got a lot of deal flow to share with you. Despite a mixed bag of retail sales results, there were some bright spots. Most notably, Walmart did well. That was one of the session's big gainers. Check out Rio Tinto and Alcan, however. The $38.1 billion offer for Alcan from Rio Tinto, one of the biggest reasons for the gains on Wall Street. Of course, this tops a hostile bid from rival Alcoa. Rio Tinto and Alcan shares, as you saw, were among the most heavily traded, and Walmart today was up 2.5%. Alcoa also rallied to a 52-week high on heavy volume. And that was another boost to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It is settling like this with a gain of 286 points. This is a record high close. I spoke to with a number of trading desks today who told me there was real conviction, new money coming into this market. For a number of large multinational companies. And as you see, the industrial average today at 13,700 for the first time ever, and then finishing 13,863. The industrial average cracking that 13,863 level today with a gain of 2%. The NASDAQ is at a fresh 6.5-year high. Check out these numbers. The NASDAQ up 49 points, nearly 50 points, with a gain of about 2%. 27.01 3/4. Standard & Poor's is an all-time high as well. 1547 is the best gain on 28 points since July of 06 at an all-time high for the Standard & Poor's. Investors also getting some relief from falling energy prices after an initial spike earlier in the session. Crude oil actually ended flat on the session with a gain of 4 cents a barrel, $72.62 a barrel on oil. We go straight to the action on Wall Street. CNBC's Dylan Radigan is there with Bob Pisani. Gentlemen.
And of course, what's great about today, Dylan, I think is impressive, is this is a classic short squeeze. A good half of these gains were short squeeze gains here. Look what happened. There was a big survey last night. One of the advisory services said that hedge funds had the lowest levels of long positions in 8 years. So people have been skeptical and largely short good parts of the market. Initially, a little bit of retail sales. Some key players like Walmart and JCPenney better than expected. We put in some good earnings from M&T Bank. Throw in also Alcoa and Alcan, and that's a cash deal. People telling people that while these deals aren't cheap, $40 billion in cash. Exactly. These deals aren't cheap, but it's still worth investing in. You throw that little stew in, and in the middle of the day, you get an explosion. That's the short squeeze. That middle of the day move that you saw up around 2 o'clock Eastern time. People threw in the towel. They saw it. They couldn't sell it off, and everybody just piled. And the other number that ties exactly to what you were saying, and I'll add to that in a second, but is the Merrill Lynch report that came out on Monday of this week, identifying that the short interest, the number of
The dollar value of what was held short in the S&P 500 as of Monday of this week was the largest it had been in 3 years. That's $45 billion in necessary buying coming into the market, and laying on top of that, as the Jimmy McGuire comment at the top of the 3 o'clock show today, there was a flight from cash today. People are afraid to have money in dollars or in a cash component, A, because of the weakening of the currency, and B, because of the momentum right now in the stock market.
And you see the S&P up 2% now in the last 2 days. The S&P is up 8% for the whole year. So you have 25% of the gains in 2 days. If that doesn't scare the daylights out of a hedge fund that's net short, nothing will.
Well, today's the day where the risk manager walks down whoever's got whatever held short and just says, close it up. And the guy says, listen, I think it'll come around. I think it'll come around. The risk manager says, no thinking, close it up. And it creates a forced buying situation. The other thing that happened was the technology names. Intel today, unbelievable. More than 5% the move. This is, again, a massive corporation with a huge tick up. And there's so many names that are in that technology, specifically the chip name that lit up today.
I think we should also finally mention the weakness in the dollar, which has been helping the commodity stocks as well. We're seeing nice moves up in gold stocks in addition to that.
Maria.
Thanks so much. And the S&P and the Dow Industrials set new record closes today. That has not happened since June 4th. How can you ride this incredible rally? Let's talk about that. Joining me now, Mike Malone. He's trading analyst with Cowen & Company, along with Cnbc's Larry Kudlow. And we will also bring in more voices throughout the show. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Maria.
Larry, let me begin with you. What a day. You've got money moving into all sectors, and I'm sure the economy has a lot to do with it, what's happening in terms of fundamentals.
You know, Maria, it's become something of a mantra with me. Each evening I go through this. The consumer is much stronger than people think, with jobs and incomes rising better than inflation. Businesses are actually having a comeback now. It will turn out they'll be more profitable than people believe. Business sales, Maria, which is the basis of profits, are re-accelerating. We're tapping into the world economic growth miracle story through a huge increase in real exports, which in turn is fueling more activity here at home. Bernanke was market-friendly 2 days ago. This is a sly one, but important. He basically said inflation is contained. The Fed is not going to raise rates. In fact, they'll leave rates on hold. Stocks love that. And yesterday, the White House and the Treasury Department made it very clear they will not tolerate tax hikes on capital gains or investments or private funds or hedges or buyouts. So when the news came across today that the retail sales, the chain store sales, were actually a little bit above expectations, people breathed a sigh of relief. The consumer is not dead. This economy is not dead.
Yep.
It remains, pardon me, it remains the greatest story never told. And I remain very optimistic about the outlook for the stock market.
Let's get to Mike Malone. Mike, you were sitting on that trading desk today, really watching the money coming in, watching who was on the other side of it. Tell me what you saw in terms of the sentiment and whether or not there was real conviction on the part of buyers.
Yeah, you know, I really do think that there was a tremendous amount of conviction today. I think that certainly we came in this morning and saw the Rio Tinto Alcan deal on the tape. We saw the better than expected retail sales numbers, particularly out of Walmart, which I think helped sentiment quite a lot. But I think really another thing that's equally important is that I think investors are beginning to set themselves up for second quarter earnings. And I think expectations are now that results may exceed expectations by a rather significant margin. I think consensus right now is looking for about 5% growth year over year. And I think given the fact that we've had 4+ years of double-digit earnings growth, I think expectations are that those results will be exceeded.
I'm just getting an email from Richard Thompson Richard Peterson, at Thompson Financial. He's going through some of the stocks that have really driven the Dow Industrials in 2007. Alcoa up 41% year to date. Caterpillar up 34%. Honeywell up 30% year to date. These were the same names that were really doing well today. Did you see buyers in any of those names?
Yeah, we did. In fact, I think we saw some relatively healthy buying there, which we've seen for some time, and I think it really makes sense. I think that the industrials and material players are very well positioned to participate in what's taking place globally right now. So yep. I think that that's why you've seen a relatively consistent bid in those areas.
Go back almost a year to the rally that started last summer, but certainly go back year to date. The leaders have been, in fact, energy, materials, industrials, technology.
And that's really what you're saying, too. That goes right into the point you're making, the global economic expansion and this incredible build-up and infrastructure build we're seeing around the world.
Growth here in the United States. Everybody wants to dismiss our growth. It is not dead. It's not going to be dead for several years. Growth around the world. The leaders are not the defense defensive stocks. They're not the consumer staples. They're not healthcare. They're not even financials, for heaven's sake. That's so important here. Look at what the market is telling you. The message of the stock market says we are on a tear at home and worldwide. And governments are not going to get in the way. We're not going to see big tax hikes. Central bank here, the Federal Reserve, is not going to do something crazy like raise rates in the face of the still the mortgage decline.
Larry, we've got a breaking story here. Alcoa is out on the wire saying that it is withdrawing its offer for Alcan. We know the story today. Alcan is going to go with Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto really acting as a white knight here, offering $38.1 billion for Alcan. And now Alcoa comes out, says at this price level, it is withdrawing the bid. We have more attractive options for delivering additional value to shareholders. In fact, they're going to be reinstituting their share buyback program at Alcoa. This is what the company is coming out, CEO talking about right now, the repurchase program back on the table. It is taking back, withdrawing the offer for Alcan. Let me bring in Ernie Ankrum. He is the Chief Investment Officer at the Russell Investment Group. He is overseeing $170 billion for the firm. Ernie, tell me where to allocate that money in a market where we are seeing record highs with the S&P and Dow.
Well, Maria, first of all, I've been optimistic on the market all year. Actually, Mark Haynes called me too optimistic at one point. I don't know about that. But
apparently not, right?
Well, maybe not, but I have to put a little bit of a damper on today. I mean, this has been a broad base. This is not just industrials and materials. Financials were up strong today, but the volume wasn't that great. And honestly, I think that what happened on the retail numbers we saw today, sure, they exceeded expectations. Those expectations have been guided so low that it would have been hard not to beat them. And I think Dylan had it right on. We had a lot of hedge funds net short this market and found themselves having to cover in a short market. And
Mike, so, what about that? You seeing a little of that, some short covering? You see the shorts getting squeezed here? You sitting on the trading desk watching the nuts and bolts of this play out?
Yeah, you know, I think you are seeing some short covering here. I mean, I think certainly with the credit jitters that we've seen in the last several weeks, I think that has certainly raised some concern on the part of investors. But I do think that in addition to some short covering, I do think that there was some real buying today. I really do think that there is some conviction that the market is going higher, and I think that that catalyst is going to be second quarter earnings.
No doubt about it. Second quarter earnings have already come in line or better than expectations. Larry, tell me specifically where the growth is. You got 11% growth in China, but it's not just about Asia, right?
Hey, look, we're seeing tremendous growth in manufacturing. Let me just read a number. Manufacturing sales. This is the sales of companies in manufacturing. All right, sales times profit margins equal profits, okay? Even if margins are thinner than they used to be. Right. Manufacturing sales, 3 months to May, 18.1% at an annual rate. Overall, 11.7% at an annual rate. Wholesalers, wholesale sales, 21.6% at an annual rate. This is why I keep arguing people have underestimated the profit power of the Goldilocks stock market expansion.
Absolutely, because at one point they were risk averse. They came back, cleaned up balance sheets, and they're no longer risk averse. Ernie Ankrum, you got the last word. Are you going to be committing any new capital to this market? You just put a little damper on your optimistic theme, which you've had in place for a long time. What are you doing at this juncture with the Dow up nearly 300 points today?
I think we still think this market has a way to run. I don't want to sound like a negative naysayer here. What I do want to say is, Maria, your conversation with those retail analysts earlier had a good point. And that is, in a world where guidance tends to be pessimistic, it's hard not to beat it. But that doesn't mean that the retail consumer here is strong. I'm with Larry. This idea of international growth and material and construction, that's a big deal. I mean, and equipment. Yep. So Boeing, Caterpillar, these things, they're doing great. I get that. And we are overweight in those areas. All right. But I still think that this is going to be a modest advance from here for the rest of the year. And I would discourage people from somehow jumping everything into equities at this point.
Just on top of that, it could be modest to year end, but people should stay long. Ride this out. This boom, Maria, is in year 6.5. There's no reason why it can't go 8 to 10 years. Ride this out. Stay long. It is the greatest story never told, and it's going to go on for a while.
Rock and roll, Larry. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much.
Maria.
And just to reiterate, the 284-point rally in the Dow, that is the biggest point gain since October 15th. 2002. We've got a strong rally taking the market higher by nearly 11% in 2007, meanwhile. But at these levels, what are the risks investors need to be aware of? That's what we're looking at next. And then turning hot steel into cold cash. Three of the biggest names in the steel business joining me coming up in an exclusive interview. ArcelorMittal CEO Lakshmi Mittal, U.S. Steel CEO John Surma, and Ian Christmas, the head of the International Iron and Steel Institute. They're in the house. Back in a moment.
Only Schwab Active Traders get access to our specialized tools and resources. Build on your trading success with online seminars taught by industry professionals. You can even talk strategy with our trading specialists before you place a trade. And with our advanced filters like customizable stock screeners and price volume alerts, you can cut through the clutter and get exactly the information you want when you want it. Best of all, you get everything you want for as low as $9.95 a trade. Switch to Schwab now and get 50 free trades. We'll even set you up with an onboarding team to make the switch easier and help you get to know our trading resources and tools. Find out why more and more active traders talk to Chuck. See for yourself at schwab.com/trader or call 1-800-358-9099 today.
When can 80 equal 120? When Kramer does the math. All this week, Jim reveals his picks for the market's rising stars, so you can try to catch them on the upswing. CNBC tonight.
A routine traffic stop. An innocent woman arrested. They stole her money and her life, and it could happen to you. The shocking truth behind the ruthless business of identity theft. Some people will do anything for money. American Greed, tonight on CNBC.
So every day I hear about moving stress. You've got to transfer your water, electric, gas, and of course move your furniture. But now there's one part that's a lot simpler. Call your cable company and ask for the Cable Movers hotline. Or call 1-877-9-TV-MOVE to get connected in your new home. Then watch HGTV's Bought and Sold and follow the real-life characters of one real estate office. HGTV and Comcast make life and moving a little easier.
We still have tons of reasons why Comcast Digital Voice is the best choice for home phone service, so we took yet another shot at fitting them all into a simple, catchy advertising slogan. And we're pretty sure we nailed it this time. Comcast Digital Voice, the rapidly growing, reliable home phone service that millions of people are signing up for and that works with leading home security systems like ADT and Brinks, even when the power's out. We'll keep trying. Sign up for Comcast Digital Voice for just $39.95 a month. It's Comcastic.
The next conversations, Sir Richard Branson. It was madness. And MySpace co-founder Chris DeWolf.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Conversations with Michael Eisner, CNBC Monday.
Welcome back. There you saw 283 points higher on the industrial average, and even with a record-breaking rally on Wall Street today, the subprime scare is still very much on investor minds. Can the bull run survive more troubles from housing and the credit markets? Joining us now, Bob Albertson, chief strategist with Sandler O'Neill, along with Ron Insana Capital Partners and CNBC contributor in Insana Capital Partners, that would be. Gentlemen, good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thanks, Maria.
So let's talk about the risks here. Here we are celebrating this nearly 300-point rally in the Dow. But, Bob, you're still worried about the subprime fallout.
Yeah, I think everything's pretty great globally. I just think the bulk of it's in emerging markets. And I think we're a cyclical economy, and we're in year 16. So maybe the consumer keeps on cooking, but I don't think credit can.
And in fact, Ron, the credit market volatility has caused some players to actually withdraw issuance that they wanted to do. Tell me how you see the credit markets and the potential for an upset in this rally in equities.
Well, Maria, as you know, I mean, this is an area of worry that we've discussed for quite a number of months now. And it didn't just start with the subprime issue. It started with the very, very heavy creation of collateralized debt obligations, collateralized loan obligations, which have grown really at an astronomical pace. And not everybody who invests in those highly arcane securities understands what he or she is getting him or herself into. And I think there's still the risk that this gets worse
before it gets better.